Thanks for joining today's session on child development. My name is Andrea Cedar and I am a developmental consultant with Surrey Place. Today's session on child development is going to look at a few things. We want to look at how your child is growing. What are developmental milestones? We also want to know how to ask for the right support and who to talk to and what to say if you have concerns about your child's development. And lastly, we want to look at what programs are available to you and your family if there are concerns with their development. So what is child development? When we're looking at child development, we not only look at how your baby's body is growing, but also how their brain is growing. Are they learning? Are they showing different feelings and emotions? Are they crying, smiling, laughing? Are they soothing when you go and comfort them? What do their friendships look like? Do they play with other children? Do they look to you for help? Do they watch what other kids are doing and learn from them? With child development, it's not just when they're babies. We look at child development from as soon as they're born all the way until they become an adult. So what is a developmental milestone? Developmental milestones are skills that we want to see in our children at various stages in life, particular stages in life. So for example, in infants, we know when we want to see a baby smile for the first time or start to babble. We also know when waving is a skill, hello or goodbye, at a specific age. And also things like taking your first step or standing up on your own for the first time. We look at child development in all of the different areas of how your child is growing. So for example, with their communication skills, we look at, are they babbling? Are they looking towards other people? Are they doing things like pointing or clapping or starting to say, if they see a dog walk by, do they go woof woof, things like that. When we think about their ability to move, we look at both their big muscles. Can they jump? Can they walk? Can they crawl? And also their little muscles, like can they hold a pencil? Can they use a zipper? Things like that. In terms of their thinking skills, we want to see that they are starting to problem solve. So for example, if their toy rolls underneath the furniture, what are they going to do about that? How are they going to solve that problem? Will they call out to you for help? Would they try to use something that can bring it back to them? Will they just reach? Will they wait? All of those things are problem-solving skills, and we know that your brain is developing and you're learning new things when you show how you're going to solve problems in different situations. Playing skills are really important for children, and we look at, even in babies, their play skills are things like sucking on their toes or reaching for toys. They will grow to learn to bang toys together or on their high chair tray. They might then show you a toy. They might play with a toy appropriately by driving a car up and down the ramp. It goes all the way up to independent play skills and pretend play skills, and so it's really great to watch how their play skills are developing throughout their childhood. And lastly, we look at their independence and how they are learning to do things more and more on their own. So when you are putting a jacket on, are they helping push their arm through the sleeve? Or when it's mealtime, are they trying to pick up a spoon and feed themselves? Or are they helping you with their teeth brushing routine? Are they starting to go pee on the toilet? All of those are really great, important skills. So we look at not only the what they're doing, but also the when we're looking at developmental milestones. Why is this important? Why do we want to monitor child development? First, let's celebrate, right? How exciting is it when your child does the first step, the first word, all of those kinds of things. So let's celebrate when they start to show that they're learning new skills. Another thing that we want to do is just to make sure that their development is on track. So if you are worried or don't know for sure if it's on track or not, you can ask people and you can find out, what do I need to teach them to be able to be on track? And then, of course, we want to catch any concerns or delays early. Okay, if there are any red flags, we want to get connected to different programs that we're going to talk about later on in this session. So, one of the ways that we as child development specialists can look at your child's development is through using the LookSee checklist. And this is a standardized checklist that helps to identify what skills children should be showing us by what age. This tool is actually used by physicians in the 18-month well baby checkup. So your doctors will be using this checklist during that visit with them. So it reviews all areas of child development, like what we just talked about. And it's a really brief little snapshot of what your child should be doing at what age. We're going to look at a couple of examples just so you can get an idea as to what skills are we looking at within the LookSee checklists. Before we look at some of those examples, we have to remember that there's certain things when you're doing a checklist that has been developed for all children, there has to be some considerations that you need to take in. So the first is the age of your child. So if your child is 11 months and you're doing a 9 to 12 month questionnaire, you might notice that they're doing everything, and that's fantastic. They're meeting all their milestones. But you might also notice that they're not doing everything in a 9 to 12 checklist when your child is only 11 months. And that's okay. So you can go back and look at the ones before that, or you can look ahead and see, what am I going to need to work on later on? But don't get too worried if your child isn't doing everything when you are looking at specific age ranges. Okay, they still have some time to develop those skills. Another thing that we want to think about is that if you've never done some of the skills that is being asked on the checklist, don't worry about it, right? So some families don't climb stairs with their kids because they live in a condo and they use the elevator all the time. And that's okay. So if your answer is no to a certain question about climbing stairs, don't worry about it, but maybe find an opportunity to practice that skill or introduce that to your child so that they have the chance to develop those muscles and learn that skill. Okay. The last thing is there's going to be individual considerations, right? A test like this or a checklist like this is meant to look at overall child development, and it can't ever take into consideration everybody's unique family life, environment, culture, circumstance. And so always keep that in mind when you're doing something like this. So if, for example, you're in a family who uses fingers instead of spoons and forks for the most part during mealtime, that's okay. You don't have to go out and make them use a spoon and a fork for the rest of their meals. Maybe find an equivalent skill that you can see if they can do. So go to a sandbox and use a shovel and see if they can dig in it and scoop with a shovel in a sandbox. Something like that. Okay, so let's take a peek at a couple of different checklists. And we're starting with the really, really early on. And you're thinking, come on, Andrea, what can you be looking at when they're so little? They're just a little baby. And really, there are some things that we want to be looking at. So things like, will they calm down when they're comforted? So all babies cry to get their needs met. But when you pick them up and give them a snuggle, do they calm down when that happens? Things like, do they startle to loud noises? Do they have different cries for different feelings? So do you as a parent, are you starting to pick up on, ooh, that one's a hunger cry, or oh, that one's a tired cry? Are they starting to hold their head up and wiggle their arms and move their legs? All of these things are really important to look at when they are just a few months old. Moving on, we might look at the 4-month stage, we might look at things like, do they follow a moving toy? So if you hold a toy out, are they going to watch it as you draw it from one side to the other? Do they respond to you? Do they reach for a different object? Okay. At 6 months, we might be looking at, and I'm going through these very quickly. You can go to the LookSee website and check all of these out, depending on what age your child is at. But I'm just highlighting a couple for every stage of development. So let's think about at 6 months old, are they looking in the direction of a sound? So if they hear the phone ring or you crashing pots and pans, are they looking towards that sound? Are they going from their back onto their side? Are they starting to try that rolling motion? Are they starting to sleep and feed at regular times? Around 9 months, we want to be seeing starting some of those little problem solving skills that we were talking about. So do they look for a toy that you've hidden under a blanket? Are they starting to make sounds to get your attention or to get help with something? Are they starting to sit up? Are they maybe shuffling around, scooching around? And are they starting to play games with you? So peekaboo and tickle tickle and things like that. Okay. Around 18 months, this is the one that your doctor will be completing with you. So are they starting to feed themselves? Are they able to pick up some foods and put it into their mouths? Do they know some body parts? Do they say 20 or more words? And when we're thinking about that one, we want to consider animal sounds, or even if you're doing sign language with your child, those all count as words. Are they starting to use gestures more? Are they pointing and waving and doing those kinds of things? So that was just a really brief snapshot of what the LookSee looks like. There are some other tools and checklists that you can use. Some of them are much more elaborate. So the ages and stages questionnaire has quite a few more things that you would be looking at within the specific age ranges. If you're worried or have an understanding that there might be a concern for autism, there is something called the RITA-T, Rapid Interactive Screening Tool for Autism in Toddlers. So that's one that you would do if you were worried about something like a diagnosis of autism. So why would you seek help? Why, at what point in time do you do it? And why is it important? So we don't want you to wait, okay? Your child's brain right now is growing so fast. So if you have any concerns about your child's development, the earlier you get in there to start to teach them how to learn these new skills in a way that it's meaningful to them, the better it's going to be. Okay, we can make sure with early intervention, we can make sure that your child is learning and catching up. And so that's a better chance that they'll be successful in the next stages of their life, daycare and school and what comes next. So if you do have some concerns, or even if you're just curious and don't want to do this checklist by yourself, talk to your doctor or your pediatrician, okay? They can complete these developmental checklists with you. They can ask you questions. They can look at your baby and watch how they're moving and interact with them to see if they notice anything. And at any point in time with your child's development, you can ask for an appointment to talk about what they're doing and when they're doing it. You can say something like, I would like to make an appointment because I am worried about my child's development. So sometimes we get a little bit of pushback, right? Say, okay, you've got one coming up, there's a vaccine, you can ask all of those questions. But you might want to say, you know what, right now I really do want to have a meeting with you because I don't want to forget about this. I don't want to leave this and for another couple of months. Okay? So when you are at the doctor's appointment, you want to be ready to talk about your specific concerns and ask those important questions. I know I used to write checklists and write my own to-do list and remember to ask this, and is this supposed to happen? So I would write lists and bring them with me. Sometimes it's really helpful to bring videos of examples of what you're worried about, right? So not every time your child performs exactly how you want them to at a doctor's appointment, right? So if you bring a video and show your doctor, they can understand and see what it is that what you're looking at and worried about. If you have completed any of those checklists, those developmental checklists, bring them along. It's perfect to show them what you've done. Your family doctor might refer you, or your pediatrician might refer you to a specialist called a developmental pediatrician. So it's just the next level up of really, really focusing in on child development and being an expert on all of these developmental milestones and when they should be happening. Okay. Sometimes doctors recommend specialized therapists, okay, to work with your child. So for example, if your child is gagging or choking a lot in their feeding routines, they might refer an occupational therapist. If your child is slower to sit or hold their head up strong or crawl, they might refer you to a physiotherapist to work with your child. If it's not working out with your doctor, or if it's taking too long, or if you don't have an appointment coming up, you can always self-refer to different programs or to ask for different services. Okay, so we're going to talk more about what those early intervention services are, but they are all free of charge and they do not require a doctor's referral to get involved with an early intervention service. Okay, and it can make a big difference in your child's ability to learn new skills and also in your skills as a parent to support your child in their development. Early interventionists don't work with children per se. We work with parents and families and communities to find moments during everyday activities and everyday routines to teach your child new skills. So here's some links to early intervention programs, and you'll be able to see these links in the description of this video. So an infant and early childhood development program is, these are Ontario-based infancy programs that support families in the home and in the community with child development. If your child has a diagnosis of any sort, or if there's just any concerns or red flags about their development, then they are eligible to come to an infant and early childhood development program. There's also the agency and support called Early Abilities, which is preschool speech and language support for children 0 until they go into school. Healthy Babies, Healthy Children is a Toronto public health initiative that provides support with Toronto public nurses who can help families understand not only their child's medical needs, but also development and how that development is going in the home. And lastly, early on programs, there's community play groups with additional supports in them that we encourage families to find in their local communities. It's a wonderful opportunity for families to meet other parents in their neighborhood, but also for children to learn the importance of play within a structured program. So let's remember that all of these services are voluntary. You need to consent to them. So you shouldn't be getting a phone call from an agency that you've never heard of or you've never contacted before. Okay? Let's also remember that your concerns are important. So any staff in any program, any therapist, anybody who's involved with you should work with you and listen to your ideas. You can and maybe should, depending on what you're comfortable with, bring someone with you to any appointments for extra support. Sometimes it's just nice to know that there's somebody else listening and trying to remember the things that you're talking about. Okay? And many of these services will arrange for an interpreter at no cost if that is something that you need. So ask for it if you need it. So we're just going to chat a little bit more about infant and early childhood development programs. That's a handful, that's a mouthful. So sometimes we call them IDP, okay, IDP programs. So families are connected to an early interventionist. They also might be known as a IDP worker or a developmental consultant. What we do is we work with families to support your child's development within your everyday family routines. So we will learn about your child's strengths, what they're good at, what they love to do. We will learn about your biggest concerns right now and what you're worried about and what you really want to focus on. So your priorities and what your goals are. We will help families learn strategies to teach your child to learn new skills. And we'll also, within that, we'll teach you when and where it's important to teach. And so we will find really preferred and great moments where you can just add in a couple of new things to really bump up that skill development within the regular family routines, like mealtime, getting dressed, having a bath. Okay? And an early interventionist in an IDP program will support a family until they start a different full-time program. So they might go to childcare or they might go off to school, and that's when the infant development program will stop working with the family. Sometimes within these IDP programs, there are other professionals that are involved as part of the whole team, okay? So we will potentially work with behavior therapists or occupational therapists or speech and language pathologists. We might have a psychologist to work with or service coordinators to help connect you to other funding sources or potentially other community programs. And there's medical staff as well. And we also work with various community programs. So if you already have somebody that you're working with at a different agency, IDP workers are very happy to connect with them because your whole child's team should be working together and being on the same page. It's really, really important for your peace of mind, but you're also your ability to teach new skills. If we're not all on the same page and we're not all recommending the same thing, that's going to make it really, really hard for you to follow through. So if you or your family doctor are concerned about your child's development, you could be eligible for an infant and early childhood program and support within these services. So you can contact Surrey Place for more information. The website is linked here and in the description as well. You can also register by phone or online. Thank you so much for viewing this session on child development. We hope you found it helpful. If you enjoyed this event and would like to view some of our other recorded events, please visit us at www.surreyplace.ca/wellness. And as always, we welcome your feedback. Please take a moment to tell us what you thought of this recorded event by visiting the link on your screen. And we really do hope to see you again soon. Take care.